welcome to the Greenock Moughton Weekly Update, as sponsored by McTears, the auctioneers. It's great to be back. The furlough's over, the season is stretching ahead in a few months' time, and I'm delighted to say that today I'm joined by the Chief Executive of the club, Dave McKinnon. Dave, how are you?
Yeah, good morning, nice to see you again, Jerry, and we're socially distanced, so we're okay to go forward, I would imagine.
We're always going forward at this club.
Yeah.
Listen, we spoke a few months ago, and you were the only guy working at Capello with the furlough. How's that been?
It's been difficult, to be honest, as you can hear. I've had some, I've been tested for COVID 3 times, and I've passed, so I'm okay. Got a wee bit of pleurisy I've had in the last few weeks, but apart from that, I'm doing absolutely brilliantly. But it's a big relief to get the staff back, because it's been a bit frustrating. There's a lot of work to have been done in the process behind the scenes, because the club doesn't just quite shut down. You know, there's safety certificates, there's various things with. I'll not even start to go into the SPFL and the SFA stuff, because we could actually have a career at that on its own. But it's great to be back. Absolutely wonderful to be back.
Now, everybody over this period has been talking about contracts. It's difficult because obviously there was a furlough situation, and essentially, although we're in August, this is really the close season. But new players coming in?
Yep, we've with the manager back on Monday. We work very closely together. As you know, the manager, has a clear strategy in who he wants to bring in, how he wants to formulate the club going forward, and the playing side. And we were able, when the manager came back, to quickly get two signings today. So I'm sure that that will be revealed later.
Now, we sat here last year. You just come into the club, as had the manager, and you talked about a 3-year plan. Now, your 3-year plan could not have foreseen what was going to happen with the global pandemic. Has that torpedoed it to a degree?
No, it hasn't, because I think what you have to do is think outside the box a wee bit. And both the manager and I are experienced in looking at how we formulate teams on the park, and it was clear that we had an option to go back to square one, to lose a year if you like, go back to the beginning, start with a new squad. We'd obviously 6 or 7 players that were signed, the young players that we'd signed, plus Kyle Jacobs. But we wanted to say, right, what can we do? Because if you go back to square one again, it means you're bringing in almost, like over 3/4 of a team that have to then learn how the manager wants to set them up, how we perform in the park, and that takes time. As the fans would have seen last season, it took probably 4 or 5 months before the team started to gel, particularly away from home. But I don't think there would be any fan out there that wouldn't say from the turn of the year the team really looked on fire. So the option was to go back to square one. But the manager and I had always formulated, as soon as COVID started, we said, what will we do? And it was always our intention to bring back players that were out of contract and players with experience. And get them extended for another season, and we've been able to do that, and that means that we've got the nucleus of a full team to go in the park, and that's going to be invaluable, because these players know how the manager operates. So with a reduced 27 game season, there could be a danger if it takes you half the season, 13 games or such, to get back to where you are. You could be detached. So we are running with the players that we'd signed for a couple of years, and indeed extended the contracts of the experience, because those 8 or so that I said, Kyle Jacobs, the rest of them are 23 years and under. So you need some experience. So we're delighted that we've been able to extend the contracts for another year of our experienced players.
Now, as chief executive, there are more pressing issues as well, other than just the team on the park for you. We're looking at the launch of Ton TV, live streaming of games. Season tickets, I understand, have been going very well.
Yeah, they've been going well. I think that obviously the streaming part of it, and that's a complete unknown. I've worked a lot on the streaming. We've got the service ready to go. We're getting a Pixel camera system installed next week. We'll do some tests on that. So the season ticket holders will be able to get free Ton TV for a year. They will also be able to stream games, and my understanding is, because of potential restrictions by the government on who can enter grounds, that will be for the season. It may change, but that would be for the season. And for me, what that means is that, you know, the fans that have maybe got an inherent health problem, or indeed, you know, age, they don't want to come out, then they could possibly watch the games in their own home. And I think that's helped. We've also had some fans from overseas who've bought season tickets, you know, so that's a big commitment, and, you know, we can't thank our fans enough for that. It's going to be a funny kind of season, but at this time, you know, we need the fans to step forward, and to be honest, they've been absolutely brilliant. My time here, 5 months it's been in furlough. It's almost like a sentence. I don't know what I did. maybe it's coming on. But you know, it's certainly been. I've had a lot of support and emails, phone calls from fans, and it's been absolutely brilliant. So we've got a great fan base out there, and they'll be supportive. And there's also, you know, we'll maybe talk about is the fact that it's a moving feast. You know, moving feast in the budget, because, you know, the board were under incredible constraints, because, you know, do you budget for crowds at the start?
Yeah.
You know, partial crowds, streaming, what do you get from that? So the board have had to be very prudent in the budget, and that's obviously affected our signing policy and what we're going to do. But, you know, I think that yesterday I had you know, extensive hours at the stadium with the safety people to go through the aspects of bringing a percentage of the crowd in. Where would they sit? How would we, you know, basically self-distance? How could we operate that? And I must admit, Jerry, this has been going on in my head for a long time. And when you're on your own, you think about various things. But, you know, the support I got from our safety people yesterday was absolutely superb. And it made me feel pretty confident that if we in Scottish football are allowed to bring a percentage of a crowd in, which will be primarily our season ticket holders, because they will have priority, then we can adequately cope with it here.
Now, this season, more than any other, is going to be about first team football. The constraints are obvious to everybody right across Scottish football in terms of reserve squads and development squads. How do you see that?
Well, I think that the board have made the decision to concentrate on the first team. A reduced first team squad, but that means no reserves and no development squad. But, you know, I would say that having been involved in a lot of discussions with the SPFL over these 5 months, it's very unlikely that there will be any football, any organised football in reserve or development below the first team level, because, you know, other clubs like us have to make sure that the club survives, and that means that some pretty drastic decisions have had to be made, and we've had to make those to ensure that the club goes forward. So, you know, we're operating with a very tight first team squad, and I've explained, you know, how the components to that, you know, the players that we've signed and the ones that we've brought in with experience. We've added 2 more, and we've still to add maybe 2 or 3 players depending on how we operate within the budget. But it's going to be a different complexity for next season. That does not mean that Greenock Morton will always run with just a first team. What it means is when things hopefully go back to what normality, whatever that will be, then Greenock Morton will really step back, let every other team in Scotland say, right, okay, what's our development plans for bringing players through our system? What's it to give maybe fringe players an opportunity to play? Because one of the things I would say to you, Jerry, is that we have in that squad that I've mentioned, we have probably 8 players that haven't had first team experience. In fact, you know, probably 5 or 6 of them haven't had reserve experience. So it is highly unlikely that they'll be able to hit the ground running. So, you know, we obviously have to look at how we can support them in their development. I've had meetings with the players and indeed their parents, and all of them agree that the players have to go out and learn the game and play adult football, if you like. So we're actively already, I've been speaking to a lot of junior clubs who are interested in taking our young players that need to develop, and that will probably be likely. So that then puts a pressure on your numbers, because if you get injuries, there's major issues.
Now, these will be real first team players, they won't be cardboard cutouts. Could you explain what's the story with the boys here?
Well, I think that we've worked, and the fans will be sick hearing this, we've got this new website ready to go, but we've had to put it on hold for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I've got a meeting tomorrow with the designers, and what we have to have a website that's basically good, fit for purpose for the streaming. So it has to hold up, and the fans will know that when we put this out on Twitter, the website will crash because it's not capable at the moment of sustaining a lot of traffic. But the new one, you could throw anything at it and it will not fall down. So part of the thing that I want to do is monetize what we've got on the website. We've got obviously Tron TV, but we have to monetize, and we've got lots of sort of modern products that we want to bring in. And one of the things, and fans will have seen this from England in particular, is the Crowdies.
Yeah.
And we've got a company that are going to produce these for us, and these are we actually got two of the ugly boys just to do
Only you can say that.
to make the fans feel better. And we also managed to get a stalwart as a bro.
Because I was going to ask you, were you not going to grow a beard during coronavirus?
Well, look at it, it's terrible. So, these are the kind of things I've done. Yeah, I have grown a beard, notice it.
Yeah.
But the problem I've got now is, I was going to shave it for charity. But my wife likes it, and more importantly, my brother-in-law, Willie Gorman, who's quite a famous musician in Greenock and Inverclyde, he said to me, by the way, I can get you a couple of gigs as Kenny Rogers.
He's clearly not heard you sing.
No, well, he has, by the way. So anyway, that's why he's doing it. But no, the beard's staying. I like it, my wife likes it, and I'll put some money into the NHS in Scotland to compensate for the lack of shaving. So
one last thing, I've got here programme from the match that never was.
Yeah.
We were 24 hours away from the Dundee United game, which we were really looking forward to because we were on such a roll at that particular point.
Yeah.
But instead of pulping the programmes, you're doing an initiative with it.
Yeah, we've got, I think, probably 800 of these, and until we get back here in and we get, we started to get the website and up and running, it was always our intention to sell these. And they'll become collector's items because the game that never was. And part of the process on the website is that we'll offer these for sale. Brian Clement of McTears the Auctioneers, who's a director here, is kind of looking at, he thinks he can maybe auction them. So we'll see what we can do. But that's something, because these kind of unique things in 20, 30 years, people will be saying, I've got that programme from the game that never was, and these are the kind of things that you have to do. So it's a bit of fun, but there'll be a lot of people interested.
And it's got Nizzy on the front of it before he went to Real Madrid, so it'll be worth a lot of money.
Well, that's it. That's it. And I thought you wouldn't say that. The fans. It's actually Barcelona, so it was the last minute. They came in at the last minute.
Let's keep that quiet.
But but I think there's obviously good news coming out, and we'll get that news out in the website, because I know a lot of fans have been frustrated by the lack of news coming out. But such was the situation where, with the manager on furlough, we had the board that were, on a weekly basis, they were looking at this information's coming in. They had to really, really look at the budget, because, if you get their budget wrong, it could have big implications financially in the club going forward. So the budget was probably only finalised in the last 10 days, to the nth degree. So that then allowed me, as I've explaining, to start this process. But until the manager comes back, we were unable to operate properly in the football. So I apologise to the fans for the lack of saying that, but I'm sure that they will understand the circumstances that have made that we only this week we've been allowed to get things out and properly, and I'm sure the fans will be pleased that the endeavours that we've done to get a team on the park that hits the ground running. It's going to be a difficult season. It's a condensed league. It's a reduced budget, but we've got some players that are playing for the jersey, and that's one of the things I've always said. We've got players playing for the jersey, and we've got a nucleus of a really good side here.
Well, Dave, it's been a fairly unique period. As I said right at the opening, absolutely great to be back. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on the Greenock Morton Weekly Update, as sponsored by McTeers, the auctioneers.